see that our next speaker is Yvette in the room. We're going to be talking to Yvette very soon here. So Yvette, if you are in the room, there you are. Oh my goodness, girl. Thank you for waving. I was like, I saw her. I saw her. Where did she go? Oh my goodness. So I'm very excited. Yvette is an incredible woman. Let me tell you about Yvette, and she's going to be sharing with us some really beautiful things. Some really beautiful things today. So Yvette is a master teacher of yoga and meditation. Most recently, she took an award placing at the Kamloops Art. If you are in beautiful Vancouver, Canada, you'll know exactly where that is. Kamloops Art for her triptych art piece of drawing a wood table mandala. Oh, her mandala is gorgeous. You look at them, you feel better when you look at them. I just absolutely love mandalas. She is going to talk to us today about the power of being awake. The power of being awake. The thing that you may not know about Yvette is she's obsessed with everything sourdough. Now, you know what I love about these things that we don't know about each other is that they're like, huh? Like if you weren't paying attention to the topic, you're huh? So she's turned pasta, muffin, breads, crepes, and if you love sourdough, you got to reach out to her because literally she's obsessed with it. And the music that she's listening to that she loves is Diva Pramal, and they're coming, right? So Diva Pramal is coming, and gorgeous, gorgeous music that really carries you away. The gift that she's giving to everybody is a free awakening meditation. That makes sense because she's going to talk about the power of being awake, and a complimentary pass to a Mandela workshop. Oh, that sounds like fun, right? And then someone is going to win this beautiful, gorgeous trio set of beautiful crystal inlaid concrete based pillar candles that she makes. Gorgeous. And the value is 222. Well, that makes sense because it's 262. And Yvette is going to be giving those away. So my friend, welcome to the Stand Up, Speak Up, and Show Up show.
Thank you so very much. I just want to say what an incredible energy to follow. And I'm listening and I have these ideas of what I like to say. And I'm like, oh my God, she's really leading into exactly that. And that is a way of us seeing that the universe really connects us because we are the same. We are coming from the same spirit. So thank you so very much for the beautiful introduction.
No worries. We planned all that. Just put that all together and we had that figured out ahead of time, right? Yeah, not so much. So we let it go there. Okay, so let's talk about awake. You know what I mean? So what do you mean? I'm pretty sure that we all know that you mean something different than opening up our eyes and having a shower. So what do you mean about some of us are sleeping, we need to wake up?
Yes. So when I say that word to my students or people that I come in contact with, they look at me and says like, is that kind of like enlightenment? But when you say, is that like enlightenment, it sounds like a destination, something that we're needing to achieve or get to. But being awake is remembering that we are already all that we are already perfect. So as human beings, we say that we are asleep to that knowing because forgetting that we are spirit beings, we get trapped and caught up in experiences of habits and beliefs that keep us small, keep us afraid. So what if I said to all of you beautiful beings listening here that we are spirit beings having a human experience? That would mean that we remember that we are spirit and this human experience is like playing the game of human life. And if you ever played games and like right now our children are in the era, games are abundant and the harder the games are better. But when we look at life, we want life to be easy. So let's say that we came into this human form. Each of us said, "Okay, I'll play," because that is how I grow. That is how and this is what Bada Biraka was so beautifully explaining of falling, starting over, having to reinvent herself. So these are the levels of the game of life as a spirit beings. And most of us experienced many of them, including myself. I grew up without a father. And so that created a belief system in me that love had to be earned, that I had to do things to actually get love. So I became a certain personality, people pleasing and such. And at the age of 19, I moved continents to a whole place where I didn't speak the language. I didn't know anybody. I had no roots. I had no knowings. And then 4 years later, I moved to another country and once again started all over again. Then I was diagnosed with a brain tumor and I left my relationship, my job, and started all over again. And it goes on and on and on, the many all over again. And if we're caught up in the fearfulness of being human, and all these starting over agains beat us down to the point where it is hard to get back up. It's hard to say, I'm ready to now be even more. But when you are awake to the memory of being a spirit being versus just a human being, then you don't look at these as terrible things. You look at them as, okay, so I have fallen. I have lost this and this, and this is this level of the game where these are the challenges. So what have I learned from these challenges? And as I take the next level of the game, how can I use what I have learned?
Wow, that was
Mhm.
beautiful. That was really beautiful. Um, and that's amazing that you show up in a country and start over. And I thought that you were going to, and then you were like, and then you did it again.
And
Um,
again, and again.
yeah. And even like language, when we talk about language, I mean, language is not an easy thing to overcome, particularly when you pick yourself up and you put yourself in a whole new world. That's wow. Okay, so that sounds beautiful. And wouldn't we all like to be there, you
But
know,
we are.
and to yeah, or to
Mhm.
recognize that. So, I mean, what can one do? So as women are listening to you, and they're going, that sounds amazing. I'd love to come from that place, or at least feel a part of that place, or maybe we resonate a certain percentage to, I know that to be true, but I don't maybe feel that to be true, or I don't feel it very often. So what can someone do to feel more alive and feel more awakened?
Mhm. So it is the game of remembering, right? And to remember who we are as spirit beings that are powerful, that isn't afraid, that isn't thinking that I'm not enough or I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, and there's so many not enoughs, is self-inquiry and meditation. And it is simple, but not easy. And that's everything when we level up, as earlier we heard, isn't easy, but it is simple. It's the simpleness of doing. So meditation, a lot of people think that you have to find a quiet place, you have to sit eyes closed for hours and empty your mind. The mind cannot be emptied. As a human being, our mind is designed to think. We have thousands and thousands of thoughts a day. I can't remember, I think it's like 85,000 thoughts a day that we have. We remember maybe, I don't know, a handful of them because they're on autopilot. So meditation actually isn't to empty the mind, it's to be able to watch the mind thinking. And as you're watching your thoughts and your thinking, in the beginning, your thoughts are busy with the mundane things, the everyday life stuff of, I gotta get groceries, I gotta get things like the to-do list and all the other stuff. And if you're watching all that, eventually the thoughts are like, okay, I'm bored, moves on to something else. And you start to go deeper and deeper inward until your thoughts are explaining to you, or you can feel what your human habits and beliefs are. And the more you get to know yourself from that perspective, you start to see how the things that you have done in life, your choices that you make, are coming from these programs. And then you get to decide if some of these programs are working for you, if they're helping you to level up, if you're helping you on your challenges of game of life, or if they're not, then how do I rewrite these programs? And that's what meditation is, recognizing what the programs are and then choosing. When I started over and over and over again, the choice was love versus fear.
Mm.
You know, and if you keep choosing from not the place of, well, I have to keep up with so and so, I have to be better than so and so, or if so and so can do it, then so should I, or what if I fail if I do this? What if I fail again? What if I fall off again? What if I have to start over again? That's all fear based. And when you come from that place, there's a lot of friction, and it shows up as pain or illnesses or ailments in the body, shows up as anxiety, shows up as depression. When you come from the place of understanding and loving, then even though sometimes you have to make hard, smart choices, it doesn't come from pain. It feels right. And we all been there. You know, sometimes you go through so many thoughts of what should I do, and you just give up. And in that moment, an idea, a thought, it's 11:11, by the way, a thought comes to you and you're like, well, how did I not know this? Because you are in that moment not coming from the intellectual mind, but you tapped into the spirit that already is perfect, that already has everything it needs.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's all digesting and that's all going in. And I think that many of us have, at the very least, can recognize when we get quiet that we get closer to whatever, to whoever, even to ourselves, right? The power of meditation, the power of being in a meditative state, the power of just in a place where you can listen, right? And go quiet and go listen. You can hear other things. You can get other pieces of advice that at least you can explore. And it feels like you get to know yourself a little better because it's you having a conversation with you, or it sounds like it's you having a conversation with you, right? And moving you in that right direction. Um, People are fascinated with mandalas. People are attracted to mandalas. You see pictures of mandalas, you see paintings of mandalas. Many people buy, jewelry that have mandalas in it. And I remember us sharing when we first met about you having a mandala dream. And I was like, that is really cool. Can you share that with us?
Yes, I was on a meditation retreat course, and I, you set an intention when you go into a meditation. It's helpful because you're questioning your spirit self of, why am I doing the things as a human being that don't serve me? So I went into it with the intention of finding out more about my food issues. I love food. I just can't say no to food. And it isn't, always the healthiest choices. So in the meditation, as I was guiding through step by step, I saw myself drawing a mandala. And so I came away thinking, well, what does that have to do with eating? It gave me the answer of, by using the time of drawing mandala is meditation. when I started looking into it, I realized it's been around for, gosh, like thousands and thousands of years. Monks done it with colored sand. They would chant meanings into the mandalas to serve their community, to the world, to bring different feelings and uh, helping humanity. And then they just discarded. So I started drawing them, and I realized that it was my form of meditation, because sitting in one place is not always easy. My mind had a hard time settling because my body couldn't settle. And some people use meditation as moving, like yoga can be a moving meditation, and I teach it that way. Some people walk, some people run. There's all sorts of ways, but for me, mandala really worked because you start at a center point and then you go around, and each circle is bigger and bigger, and you may have to think of one shape or form, but then you repeat that shape or form. And in that very calming repetition, you start to see yourself. I saw all sorts of questions come up of like, why do I like this shape? What does this shape represent? What is the feeling when I draw this? Why am I attracted to this color? What does this color mean? And through that, I learned so much about who I truly am. I learned more drawing mandalas about who I am than my whole life of anything and everything else. And through that, I discovered that all of what I have done was not mistakes. They're not to make me feel bad, but conditions that if I understand them, then I can forgive myself for some of the mistakes that I have made. And forgiveness then brings love. And I learned to love myself. And the more I have done that work, the more unconditional that love has become.
Ooh, I love that. As you were talking, I felt like I was going around in this circle. And when you, this is the beautiful thing about healing and non-tangible, is that you walked into a meditation to ask about food, right? And you didn't get an answer that was direct about food. You got an answer that took you to a world that taught you about self-love. Now, I would think, and I'm not that's not my dots behind my name, that self-love would be very helpful in relationship to food. Do you know what I mean? Because you said you were eating it in a way that wasn't serving you. So I think the more we love ourselves, the more we serve ourselves, right? I mean, I think and when you think about that, that's kind of how the Mandela works. It takes you on an inward journey. Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful.
Yeah,
It's
self-love is really the root, the base of everything. If you don't have self-love, then you can't be in a relationship, a loving relationship. It really is affecting, or in some ways moving into everything that you do and are. And yes, and you mentioned earlier that I love sourdough. So through this process, I looked into my issues, and ever since I can remember, being 2 years old, my mom used to hold me over the toilet to throw up, to help me throwing up from migraines. I was born with migraines, and I have taken so many painkillers in my life that it ate away the lining of my stomach, and I ended up with something called um, leaky gut syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's really when I say I had a problem with food, it was anything and everything I ate hurt me.
Wow.
And it was because of that. And then that helped me to look into sourdough, fermented food. So I now eat foods that are actually good for my gut system.
It's just like the story begins and the story ends, just like a good movie, just like a good chick flick. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for sharing. That was absolutely incredible. So let's do some self-love. No, let's do some love on her. Let's do some love on her. Thank you so much. Let's do some jazz hands. Let's do
Thank
some,
you.
the hearts. I love that, Carmel. I love when I see hearts. You guys, let's do some more hearts. I love all the hearts when that happens. And Melissa's clapping. Thank you, Melissa. That was absolutely amazing.